Good morning, and thank you for joining Resilient You with Alicia Pozsony on Power 98.5 FM satellite radio. Each week we have guests that come on the show and talk about different topics of resiliency, and we also bring the top entertainment. And I'm so excited to welcome today's special guest. We have two members of an indie pop band with a unique sound. They are called Pretty O.P, and they hail from Baltimore. So, guys, welcome. I have Derek and Mitch. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to see you.
Good. Now, I want to ask you, I have so many questions, right? Because we have our listeners, around the world, actually. We broadcast out of Manchester, United Kingdom, as well as New York. And anyway, we're out there, right? So as I mentioned, top entertainment. We like to bring artists that have new material. And I know that you have a brand new release. So your band is called Pretty O.P.
Yes.
Let me ask, what does O.P. stand for? When I looked, can I ask that? Because I looked it up, it was original poster, right? I don't know if that's...
Yeah, go for it, Derek.
It's like a video game term. So overpowered, and it would be used in like the context of, when someone creates something in a video game that is probably too powerful for its own good. Like it's almost like kind of makes the game too easy if you use it or something like that. It was a name that a good friend of mine came up with when we were working on music for the first album, and so he really liked the name, and it ended up just sticking until now, and you just
it rolls off the tongue too.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, and it gives people that a little idea of like, okay, what does it mean? It gives that mystery element to it. So now you guys, you originated in 2015, and that's what I read. So again, I'm trying to do my research, but you are four brothers, right? In the band.
Yeah. So Mitch and I are brothers, and then so Keen is with us. Keenan, and Spencer is our other brother. And so in 2015, it was kind of I was making some music with some friends of mine, and then Keenan quickly joined, and the four of us really kind of were creating some stuff with some friends of ours as well. We kind of got additional members to help us out on some of the parts, and but after that initial project, Keenan and I decided to kind of keep creating music under the name, and we decided to go back with Spence and Mitch to a lot of the music we had written over the years, and we've recorded that music. And a lot since, actually, and so that's mainly what the current music we're releasing is the wash and dry stuff. Is that stuff that we kind of wrote over the years.
Now the music itself. Let's focus on that a minute. So I mentioned it's a unique sound, and I called it indie pop. I hear some synthesized instruments in there, and I hear not only like the Red Hot Chili Pepper sound, that real punchy bass line, but also like in the vocals, like I hear like Stevie Wonder kind of perfect pitch. I hear just, I don't know. It's so interesting, the music, and just think like you guys were together and making this music for like 5-6 years. It's really well formed. So
thank you so
let
much.
me just put that out there. That's my take on what I've heard. The new album, Our Closest Friend, the title track is good. I love how it leads with that walking bass line. My favorite song I think that I've heard, because I've done, and I come from a different generation, right? So I come from the 80s where we had Madonna and we had Michael Jackson, we had, then heavy metal and like Motley Crue. So I've got to, but we, now today I am hearing the new music and a lot of it just plain sucks. I'll say I'm not a fan of a lot of it. Right. But but anyway, but back to your music, which does not suck. Look Who's Laughing Now. That was my, so far one of my favorite tunes that I heard. So tell our listeners a little bit about your music, your style, and in your words, what you would call it.
Yeah, I think it tends to fall under indie pop, but indie pop, indie rock is likely where it comes from, space around that. Yeah, a lot of the songs on this one, Mitch, I was thinking about the other day, a lot of the songs on Our Closest Friend, the EP, started from some of Keenan's bass lines. So a lot of them, if not all of them, kind of originated in that way. And it's funny you mentioned Look Who's Laughing Now, because that's one that he definitely Spence and he really focused on creating that tight drum and bass sound that you can hear that you mentioned. Yeah, it's a good collection of tunes that I kind of wrote the parts to a lot of Keenan's bass lines, the lyrics, and then we overdubbed a lot of synthesizers that I tend to enjoy playing a lot, and kind of creating music with them. And of course, guitar would be, there's a lot of fun guitar parts on that album.
Yeah, and I think just as you mentioned, it is like the indie pop, indie rock, but it does kind of bend into like almost a little more like a sound that's hard to describe, I guess, in some way. Where you mentioned like the Chili Peppers, and that was a big influence on us. Sure. We always listen to Chili Peppers so much, and the way you mentioned like the bass line was a huge influence. Obviously, listening to Chili Peppers, and it kind of has like that. It's even hard to put the Chili Peppers like into a certain genre in itself, and I wouldn't say like the sound is quite exactly like that, but it kind of is like in a almost unique kind of an art pop type of, I don't know, its own like lane, I guess, in some sense, but does still kind of fit into that pop and indie alternative category as well.
Yeah, Chili Peppers.
The music too. I just have to bring this up. It's positive, but it's also like reflective. I notice, right? So you go through it. It's very emotional. So you're like upbeat, listening to this, and then all of a sudden you're in a different place in your mind. Like, I don't know. I live through music. I think it's a wonderful emotional tool. So I want to bring my experiences too.
Oh, that's flattering that you say so. I think that is very much what we're trying to go for. It's something upbeat that you can kind of dance to. But also kind of you can be reflective, as you said, as you're grooving.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's great insight that you feel that way, because I feel like that's a lot of what the sound is, kind of, as you said, take you on a kind of an emotional like journey while still just being very kind of pleasing, I guess, to the ear. Yeah.
Now, some of the songs, the content, like might have revolved around relationship issues. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that certainly that's a theme that's explored on a number of them, I would say. Right, like Look Who's Laughing Now, definitely one that's there's some vindication there, I think, in the narrative. this idea of like, oh, but I think it kind of comes down to it's talking about a relationship that's kind of, oh, you say, oh, look who's laughing now, but in a way that no one's laughing. It's kind of like it's just more like a take on a situation where comes back around, and that's not necessarily a pleasant thing, even though we might think we always want to get the last laugh. It's not really.
Yeah, almost like disguising your emotions behind like a facade of like, yeah, I'm laughing, it's on me, but in reality, you're hurting, and maybe the other person is in a situation as well.
Right. It's kind of vengeful. Revenge is never very satisfying as a means of catharsis. So it's kind of like maybe a take on that, I suppose. But
that's so common, right? Because how many times, I don't know, some average of 7 to 12 relationships people go through before they find the one. So it's interesting that song might reach so many people because they've been there, right?
Yeah, it's true. I try to write in a way that's personal, but not so personal so that that in a way that a lot of people can kind of relate. I think that's really important.
Taking like pieces of relationships and things and experiences you've been through, and kind of like creating like a broad picture through it is kind of how I've taken from your songwriting, at least in some sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's good. And again, I know that you have multiple albums out there. Where can folks find your music?
Yeah, so we have the initial album out, and we've been releasing a lot of singles from the upcoming kind of a dual album, Wash and Dry, which should be out this summer. And you can find them on Spotify, really anywhere now, as we're releasing them to all music platforms.
All right, so listeners, you can Google Pretty O.P. and you will find them. You can download their music, you can stream it everywhere you can find music. Their upcoming dual album, Wash and Dry?
Yeah. So we were... when we were originally kind of doing these sessions, we came up with about like 30 songs, and we cut it down. We ended up cutting down to 24. We had more than 30, I think, in the beginning, but we cut it down to 24. And we were thinking, all right, we'll release it as a double album anyway. But that's I think the double album is kind of gone by the wayside. It's like I think it's something that kind of made more sense when you were packaging actual CDs or vinyls in the case. So we were like, okay, we were gonna do it in one big album, 24 tracks, I think, at one point. But then the actual the service that we were using to upload music at the time only allowed us 22 tracks per album. So we're like, all right, then I guess we do have to split it in two. And then we kind of we're like, all right, well, how should we form like these two kind of albums? And we tried to find two like polarizing ideas. And something that always kind of stuck with me when we were recording these was that we converted our parents' basement into a studio over the years, and Mitch and I are one of six, so the laundry is constantly going, and that was something that I could hear very often in the basement. I always hear click on, and it was just like something that kind of felt like it was always there in the background for a lot of the sessions. Not that you can hear it on the recordings or anything, but it was something you could hear it in like the silence when you turn off the music in the studio sometimes. So it was just kind of like a theme that I thought, all right, like wash, dries, kind of. And so, it's somewhat superficial, but kind of fun. We've been able to kind of release singles with like washing machine artwork.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too because the songs have been kind of organized in a way where there was the albums kind of parallel in some sense, but then you have we tried to fit the songs into a dry sound, almost maybe a little more rough maybe, and then a kind of wash sound, to just kind of fit that feel in some sense, you could say.
We had a couple conversations about like what we thought that would even mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
Hey, it works. It works because many times if you're in different groups, different people, you talk about music conceptually, and it's so refreshing to hear this actually because you see a picture of like the you guys in the laundromat with the washing machines or whatever and dryer, and it's like, okay, what is that about? Like it makes you wonder. So this is really, it's nice to hear that that approach, and then to take that one step further to actually bring those elements into the music. And so the 4 tracks that I saw that were out there now from Our Closest Friend, are they the wet sound or the rough dry sound?
I think that's mostly dry. I think is what yeah, kind of I think it kind of turned out to be like some of the more rock songs with like a harder kind of. There's like a section. I don't know if I'd call it experimental exactly. Not by like today's standard necessarily, but there's a section on the song "Our Closest Friend" where it kind of like right after the second chorus, you hear like some harmonies and then like kind of like a noisy kind of interlude. That leads into like a guitar solo, and that kind of like noisy sounds that kind of resurfaces on certain tracks. That I think kind of ended up being what we thought was more of a drier, maybe darker, but just like a drier sound, I guess. Yeah, and then I think the more pop tunes tend to be what I would consider wrong wash.
Yeah, and I think a little, like you said, there's a little more rock, harder edge to those dry versus the wash. Can be a little like softer, I think, in some sense, some of the songs.
Yeah.
So this is a great example of how, your approach to these subjects are so unique. And I think that's going to help you guys stand out from all the other musicians, right? Because we know that, music today is so accessible. And I wanted to ask, as a somewhat new artist in a new genre of music, how do you think you guys are going to be able to stand out from the rest with that music being so accessible?
I would say that so I love the accessibility of music. I think it makes it kind of easier when you do meet people and you want them to listen. It's very easy for them to find it immediately, which I think is really helpful in the modern day and age. It kind of allows artists to be more independent and be more in control of their music. Whereas, even maybe 20 years ago, it'd be a very hard thing to do by your own, like, without like a record label.
Yeah, tell me about it. My husband actually plays bass guitar, and he had an original band. They were called Johnny Seven, and they went in a van and they traveled across country. They played at these little dive bars and whatever. They were selling thousands of their CD, but it was a hard road. It was, I wonder now, like, how a band would fare as well. Like, are you guys able to make money?
It's tough. Yeah, I'll say that it is tough, but I think the landscape is different now. as I've been able to see it. I think digital marketing is a huge thing nowadays, and touring can be very expensive. It is tough, as you said. But tough physically, emotionally too, and it's hard to net profit sometimes from going on tour. Digital marketing, though, I mean, is a great modern day kind of experience. Just a modern day tool, that you can use to kind of get yourself out there for kind of easily. If you can videotape something well, and you can kind of put it out there for people, and they can find it organically, and through ads you can kind of gain a following.
Yeah.
So I think that's a more viable marketing strategy nowadays. And then building that audience, and we're still, we'll admit, in the early stages of building our audience. But we're excited.
Mitch, you do a bit of that marketing, is that right?
Yeah, I've been putting a lot of work in recently to kind of increase the visibility of us, I think. And a lot of it is going into it with a strategy. And it's been like doing a lot of research online and like looking up what is kind of the best way to market yourself. And I think we've come a good way, like, and me and Derek, we've discussed a lot of like what our plan is going forward and how we want to put ourselves out there. And as he said, digital marketing is a lot of that. And I think you have to create a brand, really, and you do have to create a captivating journey that fans are going to want to follow and kind of know you, just not just your music, but the personalities behind it, and want to connect with you because, music is that emotional connection that you have. And so I do think that a lot of it too, I think our brand that we are trying to push is just like, we are brothers, we are four brothers, and we do, like, you're not going to be as openly honest with people, even all your friends. You're not going to be as openly honest as you are with your family. And as brothers, we really do. We can get each other's nerves sometimes. We can push each other. And I think that's a really key part of the music too, and the band, is that we are kind of willing to push each other to elevate our limits. And at the same time, we have this we've grown up with each other our whole lives, and we just know each other really well. So it helps us to kind of be creative in some senses and kind of like understand that we all have different mindsets. But if we kind of talk about it and we figure out what each person is trying to say, we can really kind of blend into this cool vision. And that's why I like a lot of the marketing we're doing recently is just pushing out singles. We're trying to do that every month and just come up with these videos that accompany them, that kind of just you'll start to see them as they come out, but they kind of match the feel of each song in some sense. And I think it just gets a little touch of like what we try to do visually, not just sonically, but just kind of morph those together because, we, as kids, we were always behind the camera and we always had music going on in the house. So I think it's kind of nice. Just like, it feels a little bit like we're back, as kids, just trying to like push and be like, oh, what can we do visually to kind of match this music and just kind of make it like fun, a little tongue in cheek, but also, I don't know, just enjoyable to watch and just get ourselves out there, like we said.
Yeah, it's in the last year, really, we've kind of completely rethought our strategy. And I've been making music for quite a few years. Like recording and putting out the recordings that I felt comfortable with releasing since around 2017. And, but now I feel like in the last year, we've made a lot of good progress with the brand.
Yeah. And, when I first, when you guys hit my inbox, I looked you up and I was like, wow, okay, this is a whole new thing. And I saw the collection of music. I saw the imagery. I saw, and again, you press play and it's like, what are you going to hear? Because you never know. It could be, something that sounds like everything else. The music could be something that, it's like, oh, this is no good, or you love it. And your music, I really have to say, like different words come to mind, like dynamic and, jazzy and pop. We've talked about the rock influence, there's like funk and disco, there's jazz, like there's a whole lot of elements to it. And I can't even tell you, the work that you've done both in the musical side, the elements of that you've added and the way you've mixed them down and just brought them to the world. It's just amazing. And now the marketing aspect. So obviously there's only two guys here today. So Keenan and Spencer, the other two.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Keenan does the bass and Spencer does the drums. So are those two closer? And what are your ages?
So I'm the oldest, and then so it goes Derek, Keenan, Mitchell, Spencer.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, Derek, you don't look the oldest at all. I would say you're
really?
the youngest.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
Oh, I think it's the beard. I think it's
the beard adds a couple years for me. But we're all pretty close together. We're in a span of 5 years, I want to say, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
no, it's just
I think 5.
5 years. Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah. Nice. Well, so another question that I have is we talked about shows, right? So you guys are promoting your music out there, reaching out to audiences. What can people expect when they come out to hear you guys or see you at a gig?
That's a great question. So we haven't really played a show since before COVID, and recently, kind of, a couple months ago, we had a real big meeting. We want to, because we're currently putting together like a set list and a kind of a live show experience, because we want to start playing again, but we want to do it in a different way that we've never done it before. And I think that's really what we're working on now. I think it's become a big priority for us. We want to create an experience that we'd be happy to put on, that kind of showcases even new music that we will want to play in the future as well, and some new stuff like never before heard tunes, likely, to kind of give it like a mixture of a new experience with some oldies but goodies mixed in.
Well, if you come to Jersey, we've got a place here. It's a Hopewell Theater, and there's a lot of indie and folk and different kind of music.
Yeah.
It's a smaller theater, and there's a whole circuit of these types of theaters that people in my age group, which I turned 50 this year, so. But anyway, unbeknownst to me, there's all these people who come out to hear live music, and I'll send you the information for that theater, but it's something to keep in mind.
Now, is this North Jersey or South Jersey?
Well, yeah, Jersey is like 3 different continents, all in itself. I'm kind of more in central Jersey, near Pennsylvania, but it's central Jersey. So we're probably 3 hours from Baltimore.
Oh yeah. So I currently live Upper East Side, New York. So we do a lot of communication online, and I come back and record all the time.
Oh, nice. So we're not sure where the other brothers are, but we're like 45 minutes from the city.
Oh, so, yeah, wonderful. Most of them are in Baltimore. Mitch actually just moved from DC.
Yeah, I was just in DC for the past years, but so we frequent the DMV.
Yeah. Well, in Maryland, there's a festival. It's a wine festival, I think, in Columbia, which we used to go to. And there's some kind of music festival that happens right on the tail end of that usually. But, but there's, I think, especially now after COVID, with everything being shut down and, remote. There's such a big need for you guys to get out there into the world. So
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Start. Just get out there.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
know
plan.
people are itching to see live music again after
I think
quarantine
so.
and whatnot.
I know I've missed it.
Yes. So guys, again, I'm happy to have you on here. We're gonna, have this show air. We're excited about your double album, Wash and Dry. Again, listeners, they have a seamless blend of different music styles, which you really have to take time and listen to and share. It's something you can have on the background as you're doing your housework, or you can have on the car and your commute to work. This stuff is so creative and inventive, right? So definitely worth listening, and we're excited about the upcoming. You have a new single that is coming out too, guys?
Yeah, called Grab What You Can. It's coming out, I guess 2 weeks? Is it?
2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, nice. So, all right. So grab what you can. And do we know what's next for the band? So you want to do these inventive, the preparation for your inventive live shows. What's next?
Well, we so of course during COVID, that was during lockdown. Spent a lot of time recording a lot of new material. So we do have quite a stockpile of stuff that we're excited to continue releasing, and we're going to. We have the double album, Wash and Dry, coming out this summer. So that's kind of really the immediate focus. We're working on kind of releasing that, doing the live shows, as well as an exciting new frontier. And but yeah, I'm personally very excited for the album afterwards, even because that's just kind of what I've been spending a lot of my immediate time working on. And I'm really excited about how it's sounding. Just this, for me, creatively and musically, it's just like a new frontier. I feel like for my own kind of writing and production, I think is it's really exciting for me to listen to, and so I'm excited for you.
So that music is such a creative outlet, which is something that we need today when we're all stressed and we're all moving faster than we may want to. Trying to keep up and do well in our individual journeys. I am not musically talented at all, but as I mentioned, my husband is. And so what about challenges? How do you guys handle challenges that you might face in, either the band and working with each other, or in the music, or in the fast-paced world that we live in? What kind of challenges are you facing, and how do you overcome them?
If it's so Mitch mentioned when it's like the four of us, communication is like a big thing.
Yeah,
like figuring out how to communicate well and efficiently, and just like trying to keep emotions centralized, I guess. When especially with a lot of this it's with a lot of creative decisions, when people have differing opinions on how something can go or should go, tensions can rise very quickly. And when it's someone who you've known your whole life, like you can very easily press the buttons to tick them off, and so that was something I know, like Keenan and I struggled with early on, and every now and then we still we'll still bicker, but it's something that I think we've certainly come a long way with, just kind of like understanding, okay, like trying to keep level heads in these things.
Yeah, and some of the greats that I've seen when they're You deal with bands. I know firsthand that you have different personalities, stronger people want to decide, maybe the front man, no offense, Derek, maybe the guitarist, if they're personalities, right? Yeah. So when I've heard the greats talk about how they've sustained themselves for so long, it's being flexible and being open to hearing someone else's idea and thought. And guess what? If your song doesn't make the cut for the album, it might make the next one, or it might go through another life change and become something different. So I think it's important to keep that in mind, use those mentors as examples when you're going through, and not just you, but anybody dealing with the challenge of how to communicate with others when tensions might rise. Take a step back and realize that the greater goal is maybe more important than your own feeling at the moment.
Couldn't have said it better.
Definitely.
Yeah. It really is.
And when you have, as Derek mentioned, then you have we're very passionate people, and we all have our way of, we have it in our heads what we want it to look like. And I think everyone has that slightly differently. And so it's that communication of just trying to understand and almost compromise your ideas a little bit to then fit the other person. And when you have, four brothers kind of working together, it is just everyone kind of like giving a little bit up of their own vision to just kind of connect to that central vision. And when you can, just calm yourself and understand that we're all wanting to push this to a greater level. When you get past that and you can start understanding each other, things really start clicking at times, and you really see like a great picture painted there.
Wonderful. So to have that resiliency to be able to come back into the studio the next day, and not have your tail between your legs. It's something that, like you said, you can move forward, and that's how you really get to that next level. I love that. And hey, when you're together next time, guys, I'm seeing skateboards. I'm seeing you guys on skateboards, like with instruments or something. Wow. I don't know.
I'll have to brush up.
I can see that in the future. I had an idea actually, rough idea with skateboarding, and I've been hanging out with some skateboard families. So who knows? Yeah. Maybe that's in the future.
Oh yeah, we gotta find it. We gotta find a skate park.
I know this guy in DC. He's like the king of skateboarding there. He would hook us up. We could definitely get some music videos and skating.
Look at this brainstorming right here.
Exactly. Thank you.
This is great.
Well, I have a 15-year-old son, and he likes rap music. So it's not even the Run DMC and like the good ones from back in the day. He is, but anyhow, to each his own. But his thing and his friends, right? They've got, like, he wears skateboarding sneakers and he has skateboards on his wall to decorate his room. But he doesn't dare try to skateboard. Like, that's not his thing. He's a sports guy, Yeah. But it's just so interesting what these, how the world is changing and how much imagery is important, to reach the other generations, right? So that and shirts, like graphic shirts, they're wearing all kind of shirts. That one kid had on like a Def Leppard shirt, and I was like, "Oh, great! What's your favorite album?" I was so psyched that he was into it.
I don't know.
He's like, "Oh, I'm just wearing the shirt."
Yeah. I read something recently. I think it might have been a post or something, but a kid was wearing a Nirvana shirt, and he thought it was a brand. Like he thought it was like a clothing brand, and I'm thinking, I'm like, like. You grow up and you see that shirt and those images everywhere, and you don't realize because the band hasn't been around. The music's still there, but they haven't been touring, of course, or done anything new in years.
And, I'm also thinking. I'm going. You've got Mitch. You've got that Beatles poster back there.
Oh yeah.
You could recreate. The sidewalk. The crossing the
the classic, the Abbey Road,
some homage.
Yeah. There's four of you.
There is four of us.
You've got limitless possibilities here.
I know, you're right.
Yeah, but
one of us will have to go barefoot for that.
Yes, exactly. And then maybe they'll think that we're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for being transparent, though. It's nice to hear that, you guys are putting family first and that you're making it work. That's so good to hear today, and to hear communication, right? Like, men sometimes don't always want to communicate. So it's nice to hear that, you're bringing that up and willing to talk about it as an important issue.
And when we do want to, we're just so terrible at it. It's like it's really too good things. Yeah, very very hard.
The execution.
Right, yeah. Thanks. Well, you know what? I'm going to do a class on that, because I have anyway, that's a whole nother business that I do. I actually am an author, right? I've got this Emotional Strength Explained. This can help you guys with communicating. It's designed to be generic for the beginner, actually. If you have a goal, you would write down the reason why you bought the book, and then each day you spend like 10 minutes, and it walks you through my own personal process to get healthier, to build emotional strength, to support yourself, and get to that next level. So you should check this out, Emotional Strength Explained. But again, it's used by people together in couples to work through issues, but it can help individuals reach their goal.
Hey.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but I have also a different series that I'm doing to help others. I'm a career coach and a life coach. So wellness and, transformation is something that's important and a passion of mine. But I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a class for communication execution for men.
There you go.
Oh yes, I'm telling you, it's important. It's something. Keenan and I really had to sit down, like, come up with our own language. I felt like it was like, I don't know. It's like it was just very much. It was a thing. We had to figure out our own way to kind of communicate. We had to know when to back off, because so Keenan writes a lot of the bass, but he does all the bass, but he and I produce the music very closely, which a lot of the editing and the mixing and the mastering, and really just general decisions about what could be overdubbed and when and where. That's we do share a lot of those decisions, and especially on this latest EP, a lot of it is Keenan's decisions, if not most of it.
Well, and it's so true, because things like a tempo, or add horns here, or add this fill or something, like it can really make a huge difference in the outcome of the sound, or the direction even of the next song that you guys do, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it can. It's very much about trying to find that compromise, and just I always like taking a break is a good idea. When you're really into it, you don't want to, but I feel like taking that step back, go and get lunch or go for a walk, just something to like get yourself in a different headspace will allow you, some kind of exercise. Well, then, you come back to the issue and you're like, this wasn't a big deal. Like, and you can articulate what you want better, I find, or me personally. I find I can do that. I can be like, I really just wanted this, and I couldn't explain that earlier, and it caused a whole bunch of grief that I didn't need, that I caused.
Yeah, and that's excellent. We talk about that a lot in different clinical scenarios too. Sometimes they call it a pause, but it is important to take that time and go back and give back to yourself. Get yourself in a different headspace. Like you say, take a walk, physical activity, or watch a funny video. Do something different to detach, because then when you come back, you can have a broader perspective. It's important, I think, when you're dealing with something so important, your music is going to reach thousands, millions, and hopefully go worldwide. So you need to do that. So that's a great thing for, a technique. That's
Well said.
Yeah.
So, so what else, guys? What is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I'm sure there's something that's,
this is just a general, as we're talking about, that has come to mind in terms of like dealing with mental, kind of getting over your own mental challenges. And then if you have anything musically, Derek, that you want to add after I have my little spiel, feel free. But I guess I would just say that a lot of times I feel like your biggest challenge is your own mind. I know we hear it all the time, but it really is like, I know I can get stressed out a lot of time by being overwhelmed with things, and feeling like you're a small fish in a big pond. And it's like, getting over that, your own just like mind that keeps kind of wanting to pull you back and prevent you from just seeing the bigger picture of things. And I guess when you do just kind of take a step back and just kind of understand that you are a small fish in a big pond, but so is everyone else in some sense. And you just have to understand that if you break something down little by little, and you just put a little bit of action into it every day, and you do it on a consistent basis, you can work towards any goal. And that's the same thing with like the band. And I try to keep that in mind, where sometimes I get overwhelmed with wanting to, reach out to too many people at once. And then, working on any merchandise we have coming out and the music, there can be a lot of things, and just communicating with everyone. But then if you just kind of take a step back, take a breath, and just understand it, and just, that old saying of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, whatever, that's really what you got to do, is just start doing little things every day, and try to get into a routine, because that's very much helped me recently, is like getting up early, doing some exercise, doing a little meditation, and you start to, because once you start to work on your whole life, together in one sense, and balance in your entire, your health and your entire life together, you start to then be really productive in those things that you've always wanted to. And so it's just like it's like a holistic methodology, I think, is really how you're going to accomplish anything in life. And I know just specifically for me and my brothers, it's with the music. And I just try to take that mindset of just working and doing things consistently, little things every day. And then suddenly a month from now, you'll look back and realize how much you accomplished in that month, and think at the time, I didn't think really anything was happening. And then now look at all that's happened,
Very true.
I love that, Mitch. Yeah, it's that routine of self-improvement where you evaluate yourself and you give back, to all areas. I mean, that is part of what a lot of people preach and motivate for self-improvement. It's just you take those smaller steps to reach that bigger goal, and that'll help prevent you from being overwhelmed, and it'll help you to be more productive. So it's nice to hear that's true, and it's really working for you guys, because the sound you have, the quality, and your imagery, it's all coming together. So yeah, don't get overwhelmed. You've got this.
Thank you. Appreciate
Excellent.
that.
Thank you so much.
Derek, did you have something?
No, just on that point, I just agree very much. Having a routine is very helpful. I've found it's something I've struggled with for a very long time. I found sleep is another really important one.
Yeah,
I think you gotta get a good night's sleep. It'll extend your life.
It get chaotic quickly if you fall out of a good sleep schedule.
Yeah, it's funny how just like the daily having a routine keeps it so that your daily processes are kind of regulated. And without one of those, without food, you miss lunch or something, or like you don't get a good night's sleep. It's funny how just it changes your whole perspective on the world without you realizing. Like you don't feel you don't make decisions the way you feel like you should or that you want to. It's important to get that good night's sleep, and so you know that the next day you're operating productively. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something for me anyway. So I got to work on more.
And just to add to that, Derek, one last thing I'll say is you're never too down and out too, because I've been very down and out, like in sometime in the recent past where it feels like you are down to a point that you will never recover, and it can get you so low that you think that no matter what you do, you've really gone too far. But it's never that, and it's not going to be an easy switch, as much as you want it to be. It's going to be the same way where, when you want to reach a goal, it's going to take little chunks. Looking at those small things that you've done that were better than the last day, even if you have, the majority of the day was bad or whatever, but if you did a couple good things and you look at that, then the next day you might have another thing that's a little better, and then you might have a bad day, and then you'll come back. But it's going to be the same slow process when you're really down and out to get back to a point that you're good again, and then you can rise even higher and higher once you start seeing that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight,
Not at all. You have to remind yourself of that, though.
Yeah. So you guys are not just musical geniuses. You're normal people like the rest of us.
There you go. Who knew?
I don't know about genius at all.
He is. I'll say he's a musical genius.
No, I wouldn't say that.
So what about your influences? If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a good question.
That is a good one.
I have a few that come to mind just off the bat, but I'm curious kind of what you're thinking, Derek.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, collaboration. Influences. See, I don't know that I necessarily want to collaborate with some of my influences. You know what I mean? And in some cases,
my collaboration would be Amadeus.
Oh yeah, right. But see, that's one where I feel like that's a hard collab. I feel like that's maybe a feature. Yeah, at best, he's gonna really.
But anyone, like alive or dead, right? If it's too hard, you can come back and on my show again, and we'll talk about those topics at a later time.
Oh, we'd be happy to. Yeah. Maybe one. I'm thinking. I like some David Bowie collaborations.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Definitely.
He was before his time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, whatever would come out of that, I think would be a unique experience.
I think it'd be cool to collab with Da Vinci. I think he would really help us put on a cool show. You could just create all these amazing inventions for whatever we wanted to do. And
not even music, just
collab with the whole overall imagery.
I could see it. I could see Bowie and Da Vinci and you guys, and imagine what a show that would be.
That's a good group.
That'd be an outer space flight.
That could be
unstoppable.
Indeed, overpowered.
Yeah, one might say. Yes. Those two alone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate your time. Like I said, when if you guys want to come on the show again, we're glad to have you.
We'd be happy to.
We're looking forward to your upcoming Wash and Dry this summer, as well. The new single that's coming out, and happy to have you, and looking forward to all that you're going to put out into the world. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks you so much.
Thanks for having us so much.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
You're welcome. So this is Alicia Pozsony on Resilient You, and we are on Power 98.5 FM. Check out this wonderful band with Pretty O.P, seamlessly blending disco, funk, jazz, progressive rock, classical, and pop, and definitely sure to please.
Thank you.
Or I'm wrong.